Hello friends, welcome to the series lecture on digital system design using Verilog. In this video, let us talk about memories. What do you mean by memory? What is the use of memory? Why we require memory? All those things we are going to discuss in this video. In the memory types, we are going to talk about asynchronous static RAM and synchronous static RAM. Apart from this, we are going to talk about multi-port memories, dynamic RAM, a read-only memory. What is the difference between RAM and a ROM? What is the difference between volatile memory and non-volatile memory? The important topic is error detection and error correction mechanism. Many digital systems uses memory for storing information. Memory in general purpose computers take several forms which include semiconductor memory chip, magnetic disk or hard disk, and optical disk, that is CDs and DVDs. So in the case of cell phone, you will be having an internal storage. That internal storage for us, it is not sufficient to store our data or to install applications. So what we are going to do is we are going to make use of SD card in order to increase the memory size. So this is one example of how we are going to use memory. Next, let us talk about general concepts. So in this general concept, you need to talk about memory size. So memory size, usually it is expressed as 2 power n cross m, nothing but these many locations will be there. In one location you are going to store m bit of information. A single value of information is called as bit. 8 bit constitutes byte, 4 bit constitutes a nibble, 4 bit constitutes a nibble. This is very important, you have to go through. Similarly, 2 power 10 bytes of data, it is called as 1 kilobyte. Similarly, 2 power 20 is referred as 1 mega, 2 power 30 is referred as giga, tera, penta, all those things you have to remember. How we are going to increase the memory size? In order to increase the memory size, we are going to keep the address as constant, then the data values you are going to increase. Nothing but, say suppose in this memory you can able to store in a particular location, you can able to store 16 bit of information. In this memory size also you can store 16 bit of information. In the first location also you can store 16 bit of information. So address I am going to point it to the first location only. This memory block is going to store the information from D0 to D15. Second block is going to store the information from D16 to D31. The third block is going to store the information from D32 to D47. This is how I am going to increase the memory size, by keeping address as constant. One example let us consider. What they have given is design a 64K cross 8 bit composite memory using 4 16K cross 8 bit components. Now look at over here, the location, in a particular location if I am considering 8 bit I can store, I have to design 8 bit only. At that time, no need of word extension or byte extension. What you need is you want to increase the memory size. So you have to design 64K blocks, but you are having only 16K blocks. So you are in need of 4 16K blocks. So how you are going to design is you will be having 16K cross 8, 16K cross 8, 16K cross 8 and 16K cross 8. This is how you are going to implement with 64 cross 8. Able to follow? Say suppose I want to design with 64K cross 16 and I am having 16K cross 8. So what I need to do is I will be having 16K, nothing but I am in need of 4 blocks which I am going to connect in parallel. So I am having only 8 bits, I have to make it 16. So what I am going to do is again byte extension I am going to do. So here I have increased the address, here I am increasing the data width also. So this kind of designs are very important. So you are very much familiar in microcontroller, you have solved all these things. You are very much familiar with respect to the CMOS circuitry. The pull-up network is made up of a PMOS transistors and the pull-down network is made up of an NMOS transistors. Whenever your output is not connected to the inputs, it follows a tri-state, nothing but it follows an high impedance state, that is the third state. When you are putting your laptop into sleep mode or hibernation mode, you are going to save the power. At that time, some of the MOSFETs will be getting into high impedance state. Starting with first question, what they are given is, what is the capacity in bits of a memory with 4096 locations? Nothing but you will be having a memory which is having 4096 location starting from 0 to 4095. Total locations is 4096, each of 24 bits. Nothing but in each location you can able to store 24 bits. First bit I am going to consider it as a D0 and last bit I am going to consider as T23. So in this location I can able to store 24 bits, in the next location I can able to store 24 bits, so on to up to 4095 also I can store up to 24 bits. Now what the question they have asked is, how many address bits are required? So how many address bits are required? Total locations is 4096. So if I am taking log of 4096 to the base 2, I will be getting the answer as 12. Nothing but 12 address lines are enough in order to point to 4096 location. Starting from 000 in hexadecimal to FFF in hexadecimal. What is the effect of write operation and what is the effect of read operation? Say suppose if microprocessor wants to perform write operation to a memory, so the contents in the memory will be overwritten in the case of write operation, but in the case of read operation the microprocessor is going to just fetch the data, nothing but there will be no any manipulation that will be done in the memory. Third question, how would we connect 256 cross 4 to make 256 cross 16? How you are going to connect is, see, you will be having one block, you are going to increase the nibble size. From nibble you have to make it word, so you are going to connect in parallel. How would you make 256 cross 8 to make 1G cross 8? How you are going to connect is, you are going to connect in parallel. You are going to connect 4 blocks in parallel. How you will be coming to know that it is 4 blocks only? 1G multiplied by 4 divided by, you are having a block size of 256 m cross 8. So this 8 and 8 I can cancel. 256 1 times and this is 4 times. So you are in need of 4 blocks that you are going to connect in parallel. Next, let us talk about memory types. So if you want to make a design, then you should be in a position to judge whether you are going with ASIC design or FPGA design. If the design is an application specific, nothing but for a particular application if you are designing, then you have to go with ASIC, nothing but application specific integrated circuits. But if you are doing general purpose design, then you need to go through FPGA, nothing but field programmable gate arrays. Next you need to talk about RAM and ROM. RAM stands for random access memory, whereas ROM stands for read only memory. RAM is a volatile memory, ROM is a non-volatile memory. In the case of RAM, whenever there is a power failure you are going to lose the information, but in the case of ROM you are going to retrieve the information even though when there is a power failure also. In the case of RAM you are going to perform both write operation as well as read operation, but in the case of ROM you are going to perform only read operation. This is the basic difference between a RAM and ROM. Next, let us talk about asynchronous static RAM and synchronous static RAM. In the case of asynchronous static RAM, the clock will be given to the first block. For rest of the block you are going to derive the clock. So by doing this, the output will not be waiting for the clock occurrence. So thereby the circuit is less bulky, and the major problem with respect to asynchronous RAM is performance will be less. Say suppose if you are performing both write operation as well as read operation, first you have to select the address, nothing but you have to point to the particular address, then you are going to enable the chip, nothing but chip enable should be made 0, nothing but CE bar should be equals to 0, then activate write enable, nothing but WE bar should be make 0. At that time you are going to perform a write operation, then output enable is not required, then the data will be stored in the particular location. Main thing what you have to follow is you should not violate setup time and hold time. This is very important. But if you are performing read operation, what is the major change is write enable should be made I, nothing but you are not performing write operation, you are performing read operation, then output enable should be enabled, nothing but OE bar should be made 0, then you are going to read the data, nothing but microprocessor is going to read the data from memory. But in the case of write operation, microprocessor is going to put the data into the memory. Next, what is the difference between asynchronous static RAM and synchronous static RAM? Means in the case of synchronous static RAM, you will be making use of clock. So whenever you are going to make use of synchronous clock, you need to talk about clock skew or clock delay. So in order to overcome this clock delay, what you are going to do is you are going to make use of a buffer circuit. Thereby cost is more, but performance also will be good only. Let us talk about the difference between static RAM and dynamic RAM. So in the case of static RAM, you are going to make use of 6 transistors to store a single bit of information. But in the case of dynamic RAM, you are going to make use of 1 transistor and 1 capacitor to store a single bit of information. In the case of static RAM, periodic refreshing is not required. But in the case of dynamic RAM, periodic refreshing is required. But in the case of static RAM, why we are not going to prefer static RAM means power dissipation will be more when compared to dynamic RAM. So this is the drawback of static RAM. But in the case of DRAM, you have to do periodic refreshing. This is one drawback in dynamic RAM. So the working part you should go through. If you want to write the data into the memory, at that time what you have to do is this word line should be made I. So when the word line is made I, whatever the data that is present in the bit line will be passed to the capacitor. Nothing but capacitor will be storing the information. Since capacitor will be having dielectric constants, it is not ideal. At that time there will be dielectric leakage, nothing but there will be a leakage of voltage. In order to overcome this, every time you have to go for periodic refreshing. So that is the major constraint if you are using with dynamic RAM. Next, let us talk about read-only memory and let us talk about RAM. In the case of ROM, you can perform only read operation, but in the case of RAM, you can perform both read operation as well as write operation. In the case of ROM, it is a non-volatile memory, nothing but whenever there is a power failure, you are not going to lose the information. But in the case of RAM, you are going to lose the information. The boot up code will be stored in ROM. All the temporary data will be stored in RAM. So these things are very important. Which data will be stored in RAM, which data will be stored in ROM, you should know. Next, let us talk about combinational ROM. In the combinational ROM, you need to talk about PROM, you need to talk about PLA, you need to talk about PAL. Next, you have to know which is AND programmable and which one is OR programmable. We know that in the case of PROM, it is OR programmable. In the case of PAL, it is AND programmable. In the case of PLA, both AND and OR programmable. So you should know these things. These things can be asked for 1 mark if you are preparing for any competitive exams. Next, we know that pen drive is an example for flash memory. Each and every person will be using pen drive for transferring the data from one system to other system or from mobile to a personal computer or to a laptop. There are two kinds of flash memory. The first one is NOR based and the second one is NAND based. The major problem with NOR based means the cost is high and the circuit size is bulky. But if you are making use of NAND flash memory, performance wise it is good, cost wise also it is less only. So you are going to make use of NAND flash chips. Let us test our knowledge. First question what they have given is, what is the difference between RAM and ROM? As I discussed, RAM stands for random access memory and ROM stands for read-only memory. In the case of RAM, you can perform both the read operation as well as write operation, but in the case of ROM, you can perform only read operation. RAM is a volatile memory, ROM is a non-volatile memory. Second question, what do you mean by volatile memory and what do you mean by non-volatile memory? In the case of volatile memory, example RAM, whenever there is a power failure, you are going to lose the information. What do you mean by non-volatile? Example ROM, nothing but even though there is a power failure, you will be in a position to restore the data or retrieve the data. That is what you mean by non-volatile memory. What is the difference between static RAM and dynamic RAM? In the case of static RAM, you are going to make use of 6 transistors in order to store 1 bit of information. But in the case of dynamic RAM, you are going to make use of 1 transistor and 1 capacitor. In the case of static RAM, periodic refreshing is not required. but in the case of dynamic RAM, periodic refreshing is required. One more disadvantage of static RAM means power dissipation is more when compared to dynamic RAM. What is the access time of our RAM? Now look at over here, you are having a processor. Processor is communicating with the RAM, it wants some information. So it is going to generate the address and the data will be read. This time is called as access time. This time is called as an access time. These things are very important. You please go through it. What does FIFO stands for? FIFO stands for first in, first out. And we know that stack follows first in, last out, or last in, first out. Very important topic, that is error detection and error correction. We know that noise is a major hurdle in environment. So how to overcome noise means either you increase the signal strength or suppress the noise. So in the case of soft error, what do you mean by soft error and hard error? Some errors are transient and that error is called as soft errors and involve a bit flip in a memory cell without a permanent effect on the cell's capacity to store data. Nothing but soft error is not a permanent damage, but hard error is a permanent damage because of wear and tear of the components, nothing but electrical wear and tear or prolonged usage. So these things they may ask, they can ask distinguish between soft error and hard error. Next, let us talk about error control mechanism. In this error control mechanism, you will be having the data bits ranging from D8 to D1. You are going to introduce some parity bits. That parity bits will be 2 power n positions, nothing but 2 power 0 that is the first position, 2 power 1 it is second position, 2 power 2 which is fourth position, 2 power 3 which is eighth position, 2 power 4 which is 16th position, and so on. So what is the value of this E8, E4, E2, E1, or you can also call it as P8, P4, P2, P1. You should tell what is the value of this. So you will be having 8 bits, but at the time of sending you are going to send 12 bits, nothing but 4 bits you are going to add extra and then you are going to send the information. So what are the 4 bits? So you will be having 0110, 0001 is your data. You are going to pad E1, E2, E4, E8. What is the value of E1? Now look at over here. Whenever you are having 8 data, how you can represent is 0000, 0001, so on to 1111. Able to follow? Now what is E1? E1 is the third position, fifth position, seventh position, and ninth position, 11th position. You are having the data up to 1011, nothing but 12 bits you are having. So what you are going to do is E3, nothing but third bit, fifth bit, so on to 11th bit you are going to encode, nothing but XOR, and then you are going to call that one as E1. E1 is 0. E2 value is you are going to XOR E3, E6, E7, E10, E11. That when you are going to XOR it is 1. Similarly for E4 you will be getting 0. Similarly for E8 you got the value as 0. So the error correcting code is, so you are going to add E8, E4, E2, E1 in the respective positions, and then you are going to solve. So you got error correcting code as this one. Able to follow? So they have given the error correcting code. One example, they have given the error correcting code. You tell whether the received data is having any error or not. So E1 again I got 0, E2 is 1, E3, E4 is 0, E8 is 1. So it is 1010. The syndrome, if I am calculating, they have given 1010. So 1010 XOR with 1010 is 0000. That means there is no error. If I am getting 0001, then first bit would have got an error. If E1 is 0, then I should make it as 1. If it was 1, then I would have made it as 0. Nothing but you have to flip the data. Say suppose if this value is 2, nothing but there is an error in the second bit. If it is 4, then there is an error in the fourth bit. So it can detect one error and it can correct one error. Able to follow? See, the first question what they have given is, what is the distinction between a soft error and a hard error? What is common cause of soft errors in DRAMs? What corrective action can be taken when a parity error is detected? Using Hamming code, how many check bits are required for single error correction and double error correction for 4-bit data word? So for this answer they have given over here. It is log of n plus 1 to the base 2, log of n plus 2 to the base 2. So these things are very important. You please go through it. So in this video I have talked about memories. In the next video let us talk about implementation fabrics. If you followed the lecture, please give it a big thumbs up. Also share this video with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to my channel Precise Study. Thank you. All the best for your exams.